Hello and welcome back to the Labyrinth of Grisaia, Makina's route. In the last episode, or the first episode of this route, we got introduced to Makina making pot shots towards her not so beloved mother, and Yuji not worrying about her. We also basically got told the story of how Yuji lost an arm and is now using a prosthetic, obviously limiting what he can do, but apparently still making him able to work. Let's continue. Use your right hand for your chopsticks and your pencil. Use your left when you are batting or throwing a ball. As a child, I didn't really care which of my arms was dominant, but Kazuki repeatedly nagged me to hold my chopsticks with my right hand. When I asked her why it mattered, she said, "I don't want people thinking I'm incapable of teaching my own brother how to behave." Talk about self-centered. In comparison to that, Asako's argument almost sounded respectable. Can't hurt to know how to shoot with both hands. Never know when you lose one. In any case, I've been able to use both hands interchangeably ever since I was a kid. And as a result, it hasn't been that difficult to get the hang of controlling my artificial arm, which moves in response to a signal from a pulse modulator embedded in the left side of my brain. Retrieving a single medal from my cup, I slip it into the game machine slot. This sort of thing isn't too difficult if I watch the movements of my artificial hand, but it gets much trickier in the dark when I'm looking elsewhere. It feels a little bit like typing on a keyboard with your eyes closed. It's all a matter of practice, I guess. It was a struggle just to wipe my ass in the bathroom for a while, but I'm starting to get more comfortable using my right hand this way. The training mostly involves dull, repetitive exercises like grabbing soybeans with chopsticks while I read. But eventually this should become second nature to me and I won't be a burden on Makina anymore. By that point, Makina probably won't need my support either. The thought makes me a little sad, but as her father, I'm not about to tell her that. I guess it's about time. I've been killing time playing metal games for a while now. Glance at the watch on my left wrist tells me it's currently 13:25. Makina's probably done with her job by now. I'm scheduled to meet her up at 13:30. Thanks to my time with the Marines, I always get moving exactly 5 minutes ahead of schedule. Rising from my seat, I turn to the college-age girl at the machine next to me. "You're still playing, miss? I need to get going so you can have my medals." "Oh, thanks." The young woman takes my medals with a dopey little smile. Her round cheeks makes her look pretty dim-witted, but it's kind of endearing. In another 2 or 3 years, will my daughter look something like this? The thought brings a small smile to my face, and an instant later there's a jolt of pain in my flank. Oh, that hurts. Why the heck you flirting around with some random woman? Oh, Makina, you're early. I turn around to find Makina and her cart. She's glaring up at me like an indignant squirrel, her round little cheeks even puffier than usual. Good gravy, I can't take my eyes off you for a second, can I? The girl's been pretty tough on me lately. It seems seriously upset her when I speak with other women, judging from the way she always jumps in to interrupt the conversation. Yep, sorry about that. Don't get angry. Dropping my artificial hand onto Makina's puffy little head, I give her a scalp and nice firm scratching. There you go again, dodging and weaving. I know we're in a dangerous line of work, Papa, but I seriously think your karma's gonna kill you one of these days. What the heck are you talking about? Papa? Yep. This girl's my daughter. Your daughter? Let's get going already, Papa! Alright. Well then, miss, I'll see you later. Yeah, thanks for the medals. Oh, I'm coming, alright. Stop kicking me. I turn and leave the arcade with Makina, my hand still resting on her head. Always a troublemaker. Seriously, Papa, you're hopeless. Just can't help yourself with the ladies, can you? All the teachers at the training school in Virginia told me that kid's a supernatural-born gigolo, you know? Total slander. I try not to make more enemies than necessary, that's all. Anyway, did things go well with your mother? You betcha! That woman won't be going near any windows for the rest of her life! Good for you. Are you satisfied now? Well, I guess so. Don't think I'm ever gonna stop hating that lady, though. It'd be nice if you could forgive her eventually, but I guess that's probably impossible. I have to admit, I still hate my father's guts.
Might have felt better to just put a bullet through her brain.
You're not ready to kill people yet. Not by a long shot. Also, I'd recommend murdering a parent. Once she's dead, you won't be able to harass her anymore. You'd regret it in the long run.
You think so? Well, if you say that's how it is, then I believe you. But it's not really clicking with me just yet, to be honest.
That's good enough. You'll understand eventually.
Ugh.
Are you upset?
That's not it. I got a headache.
Did you use the drugs?
Yeah, sorry, Papa.
Boosters. Drugs that temporarily enhance your physical and mental condition. Blockers. Drugs that suppress your dangerously heightened sensory and muscular capabilities. Issued only under specific circumstances, typically to snipers or soldiers fighting at night. They offer brief periods of superhuman combat prowess in exchange for severe after effects. You should avoid using those when you can. Save them for when you absolutely need to land a 1,000-meter shot. They'll give you chronic migraines.
Yeah.
Who gave you... Sorry. Who gave you the drugs anyway? Qa'Rajh?
Yep, that's right.
That little punk.
Don't be angry with her, okay? Didn't mean any harm.
Yeah, I know. After 9 months of training, snipers with potential are usually issued a certain amount of personal equipment. That includes weaponry tailored to their preferences, high-quality ammunition, and the booster sets. It was the same for me. They are tools that allow us to carry out every mission we are assigned with whatever we are proficient. I find myself remembering a conversation from 2 months ago, the week after Makina received a first order to fire on a live human target. Hey there, Qa'Rajh. Yours never gets any less huge, does it?
My bottom has nothing to do with the topic at hand. I'd like to brief you on an informal counseling session I recently held with the Makina.
Oh, is this important?
Yes, it certainly is. Incidentally, would you mind speaking to my face instead of my rear end?
That's a tall order.
It was recently determined that Makina's practical skills now meet our basic standards. Accordingly, she was given her first Class C mission last week.
Oh, we're already done discussing your ass?
Would you please just hear me out already?
Alright, go ahead.
I'll get to the point. She seemed a little out of it after her first anti-personal mission, so I struck up a conversation. Any thoughts on your first job, Makina? Sure, they've been giving me some crappy bullets lately. Darn thing just won't fly straight.
Is that it? Anything else?
I told those idiots in procurement I like my primer hard, but they keep giving me soft stuff. Tell them to get their act together.
Hard primer might give you a cleaner trajectory, but it makes this kickback worse. That delays the follow-up shot, and it's hard on someone of your size. They were being considerate.
They need to mind their own beeswax. I hit my targets on the first shot, so who cares about the follow-up?
Is there a reason you shot the target in his right arm?
Well, he was holding the gun in his right hand. If he was holding it in his left hand, I'm pretty sure I would have gone for that side.
I see. What are your thoughts on this exchange as her father? Not sure what you mean. She expressed herself pretty clearly.
You don't think she's developing a complex about the loss of your arm?
I don't think so. If anyone's got a complex here, it's probably me.
What do you mean by that?
Honestly, it's a little hard for me to talk about this, but I really like to make her life turn out better than mine.
We'd have to manipulate her memory, but a conditional return to civilian life isn't out of the question. I did explain that, didn't I?
I'm not saying I didn't consider it, but...
Drugs, huh? This company deliberately recruits people considered to be expendable. Its employees are as disposable as the machinery. That's just the nature of this job. Even in a country like this, where we crawl around in the dirt every time a bullet casing gets misplaced, there isn't any fundamental difference. Hey, Papa, you mad?
No. That's not it. I was just thinking.
Did they, say something about me?
Listen, Makina, are you really sure this is what you want?
What? This again? Like I keep telling you, I made my own decision. Nobody else gets to complain, not even you, Papa.
Alright.
Makina always scowls when I bring this up. Every time it happens, she says the same thing. Don't go feeling sorry for me. I made my own choices. And so, with sadness stabbing at my chest, I always wrap my arms around Makina's shoulders and push my nose into her hair. She's got a sweet smell, almost like bubblegum, and there's a faint whiff of gunpowder underneath that now. That's one scent we have in common. The thought does inspire pity, but it also oddly comforting. Anywho, where exactly are we going right now? Oh, right. See that car in the parking lot over there? We're going to drive it out to Mishima Cape. You bought a car, Papa? Nope. It's a car my buddy Daniel Bone kept in Japan. Belongs to his sister now that he's gone. I borrowed it from her. Is this thing really gonna move? Well, he got me this far. Might not look like much, but there's a V8 under that hood. Don't go underestimating it. These days it's all about fuel economy and eco-friendly engines. This thing, on the other hand, is an iron coffin on wheels that's with a ravenous thirst for gasoline. Its very existence is a crime. Driving a car with 430 horsepower in a country this cramped is downright absurd, and excessive power always meets the disapproval of society. Let's go, Makina. Make sure you fasten that belt. My champion belt? Since when were you the champion of anything? I meant your seatbelt. Ah, come on, it's just a snappy little French joke. I'm not sure that's... Yeah. When you got too much in the way of power, it's important to stay cool-headed and rational. That's something I learned from my master Asako. Remember that you got a 430 horsepower engine you could unleash at any moment, and it's hard to not get irritated when some punks in a flashy car try to provoke you. Well, somebody's got a lot of energy. Should be the extent of your reaction. To keep pace with the city's traffic around you, all you have to do is coast along. And in an emergency, you can always push the pedal to the metal. The same principle applies if you're good in a fight. Tell yourself, I can knock this guy flying at any time, and it's easier to keep you cool. Sadly, lots of tough guys get themselves killed before they figure that out. Cocky idiots are always the first to die. That's pretty much the universal truth. You're never more vulnerable when you feel invincible. But it's hard to understand that, or the real weight of a trigger without any actual experience. Someone has to teach you. Unfortunately, lessons like these aren't easy to impart with words alone. I'm painfully aware of that every time I look at Makina lately, and it makes me anxious. At the rate she's going, the kid's going to screw up real bad sooner or later. I'm sure Asako felt the same way about me back in the day. And now here I am, racking my brains the same way she probably did, trying to find a way to explain everything to Makina. I mold and reshape sentences in my mind like a sculptor playing with clay, but in the end the words that leave my mouth are completely trivial. Nice weather today. Yeah, for sure. Makina responds absent-mindedly. She's pressing her forehead against the side of the window like a fighter pilot, looking for enemy planes, watching as the world flows quietly by. You think everyone's doing alright? Probably. It's been some time since the two of us abruptly ran away from Yahamura Academy. What's happened to our classmates since then? About 6 months after Makina and I arrived in America, we started getting a certain amount of mail delivered to us through the company. These letters, delivered in a bundle every Sunday, were mostly notices from government offices and organizations or advertisements from various businesses. But every once in a while, these tiresome little packets would have a handwritten letter mixed in with the rest. The first one that we received just had the names Kasami Yuji and Irisu Makina written on front. I'm not sure how it got to us exactly. There was no address listed, and the postage stamp was in the corner hadn't even been marked. Instead of a postmark, the envelope was marked by a red stamp indicating that it had been opened and inspected by a censor. Flipping it over, I found that the censor's name was Sue Amane. Ordinarily, that letter would never even have reached us. It was nice of the company to specially arrange for its delivery, but the thorough removal of potential coded phrases meant a good deal of Amane's message was impossible to decipher. One thing at least was clear. After graduating from Yahama, she'd been encouraged to stay in the role of dorm mother, and she had chosen to accept. Learning this, of course, got me curious about how the others were doing. They all said something about waiting for me and Makina to return, but a year can be a very long time. There's no telling how many of them are still enrolled there. Then again, Yahamura Academy is relatively easy to enter, but difficult to leave. It's a bit like a prison in that way. It's not hard to imagine a few more students enrolling, but honestly I'd be a little surprised to see anyone graduate smoothly on schedule.
We might find the place exactly as we left it, actually.
I hope you're right.
Well, at least the man is still at me, Hammer, and the others shouldn't have graduated yet.
Yeah. Makina's voice sounds oddly listless. Is she praying we'll find her friends unchanged, or worrying about the way this year has changed her? I can understand how she feels, and that only makes it harder to find something to say. Makina doesn't continue the conversation either. Her eyes stay fixed on the scenery flowing past her window. Eventually, as the sights around us begin to grow familiar, it occurs to me that Makina has been very quiet for some time. I look over and discover that she's sleeping silently, leaning back against the headrest with her face turned away from the light outside her window. At a glance, this area doesn't appear to have changed much at all. I find myself remembering the ordinary life we were living here until just a year ago. It inspires a tickle of something like nostalgia. But as I turn the car onto the street and run past the local train station, a certain building catches my eye.
Hey, Makina, wake up.
What? We're there already?
We're still out by Mishima Cape Station. Take a look at that.
Eh? As soon as she spots the building I'm pointing at, Makina reflexively throws open her door and jumps out of the car. Papa, the bakery!
Yep, looks like they're back in business. As you will remember that
Makina started having a side job while she was studying and to become a baker, and she was actually pretty good at it. However, in an attempt to force her back to the company and essentially to be brainwashed by the company, the Qa'Rajh clan and the business destroyed the bakery and actually made indirect attempts on Makina's life. Makina's own relatives, members of the Qa'Rajh clan, destroyed this little store a year ago in a cruel act of arson. But now it's open to the public once again, neat and pretty as it ever was.
Looks like the money we sent through the company got to them. Want to pop on in and say hello?
Nah.
Why not?
I mean, it's my fault that store burned down. It takes some nerve to barge in there now.
I know it's pointless to say this, but it's not like you're the one who set that fire.
I might as well have.
That's not true. Anyway, look at that. They got a brand new stone oven, see? Looks nicer than the one they had before.
That's really not the issue here. Well then, what now? Should I make Makina say hello even if I have to kick her scrawny butt into the store? As I fold my arms to ponder this, the owner of the bakery glances out his window and notices us. His eyes go wide. An instant later, he's rushing out of his store.
Is that you, Makina?
Not knowing what to say or know how to apologize, Makina turns and tries to flee. I reach out and grab her by the scruff of the neck.
Where do you think you're going?
No, let me go, Mama!
Makina, it really is you.
Realizing that escape is no longer a possibility, Makina turns dejectedly to face her former employer. The man's well aware that his shop was burned down because Makina chose to work here. Just after we arrived in America, she wrote him a letter explaining everything. For her part, the girl was determined to take responsibility. In an attempt at compensation, she asked our company to send her former employer nearly all the money she earned working in the States, including the profits from her own little bakery. After 6 months of this, however, we were notified that the owner had refused to accept any further payments. That news left Makina depressed. She assumed the unspoken message was, money can't begin to make up for what you did. But now that we have a chance to actually speak with the man, it turns out that that wasn't the case. Clearly delighted to see Makina again, the bakery owner laughs in a booming voice and muscles up her hair affectionately. Oh, Makina's here. I was like, what? Didn't you just say it was a he? He'd been worried about her ever since she disappeared, but all she'd left him was a letter with no return address. There was no way for him to communicate his concern. But our classmates told him Makina will come back eventually, and he'd chosen to believe them. Devoting himself to the art of baking bread, he waited for her to return. In the first place, this bakery was less of a business than a hobby. It functioned mainly as a tax shelter for his father, a local landlord. In other words, its destruction didn't cause any real trouble. So the man claims. I think he's exaggerating for Makina's benefit, but considering the nightly restored shop and its new oven, there's probably some truth to his words. Soon enough, the bakery's owner is feeding Makina some of his newest creations, his face overflowing with confidence and pride. In his brilliant smile, there's an unspoken message. As long as you're alive, you can always start over. It seems the man trained with a genuine master baker at some point in the last year. His skills as an artisan have dramatically improved since our last visit. All the anxiety and sadness has vanished from Makina's face, replaced by a genuine smile. In the end, she comes away with a lesson on resilience in the face of adversity, and a standing offer for a part-time job at the bakery. By the time we say goodbye, I can tell Makina is finally beginning to enjoy the homecoming she's been so nervous about.
Hey, Papa, it's pretty nice having something to come back to.
Yup, you're right. People take many things for granted. All too often we don't realize how precious something is until we've lost it. That applies to the people in our lives, our beliefs, pretty much anything in fact. When you're able to see how important the ordinary things really are, you grow a little as a person. When you realize that some things are precious in a way that transcends their value, you become a little stronger as a person. My time with Makina has taught me that.
And that's where we'll end this episode. So we shall see how the reuniting at the school goes in the next episode. But until then, take care.